What if the greatest threat to your legacy isn't a market crash, a scam artist, or even a family dispute, but simply the things you've been meaning to do, but haven't gotten around to yet? After years of studying senior men who successfully protected not just their money, but their peace, their relationships, and their legacy, I've discovered something quite different from what most people assume. True wealth protection was never about fear. It was about structure. The men who protected their financial security most effectively weren't the most paranoid. They weren't the ones who trusted no one or hoarded information out of anxiety. They were the ones who built quiet, deliberate systems, long before they needed them, so that when life inevitably brought uncertainty, illness, family pressure, or even their own mortality, they weren't scrambling. They were prepared. So today, we're not going to talk about complicated financial products or intimidating legal jargon. Instead, we're going to walk through something far more practical and far more human. What does it actually mean to protect your wealth, not just from the world, but for the people you love? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." While originally about personal conduct, this idea carries a deeper lesson for wealth protection. The best defense against chaos is not to become chaotic yourself. Many senior men, when faced with financial threats, scams, family disputes, unexpected health crises, react emotionally, making hurried decisions, born from fear rather than clarity. The Stoics taught something different. Prepare calmly in times of peace, so you can respond calmly in times of crisis. Seneca reinforces this with a truth every senior man should carry into his planning. He who fails to prepare is preparing for failure. Wealth protection, then, isn't a single decision. It's not one document signed once and forgotten. It's an ongoing discipline, much like tending a garden that must be checked, adjusted, and cared for as seasons change. A wise senior man doesn't protect his wealth because he fears loss. He protects it because he respects what decades of discipline built. Behavioral psychologists have identified something called the optimism bias, our tendency to believe negative events, such as fraud, cognitive decline, or family conflict, are more likely to happen to others than to ourselves. This is precisely why so many financially disciplined men, who would never make a reckless investment, go decades without updating a beneficiary form, drafting a power of attorney, or having an honest conversation with their spouse about what happens if they become incapacitated. There's also the concept of ego depletion, the idea that willpower and decision-making capacity diminish when we're tired, stressed, or emotionally overwhelmed. This matters enormously in wealth protection, because the moments we most need a clear plan, a medical emergency, a spouse's passing, a sudden health decline, are precisely the moments our decision-making capacity is at its weakest. The AARP has found that financial exploitation of seniors often isn't the result of poor intelligence, but poor preparation, combined with emotional vulnerability during moments of crisis. This is why a checklist matters. Not because senior men lack wisdom, but because wisdom applied in advance protects a man from decisions made under emotional duress. A peaceful life is the greatest return on investment, and peace begins with preparation. Checklist. Item 1. Update your essential documents. Many senior men have a will. Far fewer have reviewed it in the last 5 years. Even fewer have a durable power of attorney, a healthcare directive, and clearly updated beneficiary designations on retirement accounts and insurance policies. Here's what most people don't realize. Beneficiary designations often override what's written in a will. A man might update his will after a divorce, but forget that his ex-spouse remains listed as the primary beneficiary on a retirement account signed decades earlier. This isn't rare. It happens constantly, and it silently undoes even the most carefully written estate plans. The wisest senior men treat their financial documents the way they'd treat their health. something to be checked regularly, not just once and forgotten. Checklist. Item 2. Establish power of attorney before you need it. Here is an uncomfortable truth. The best time to establish power of attorney is when you don't think you need it yet. Many families face crisis, not because a father didn't trust his children, but because he waited too long, and by the time cognitive decline or serious illness arrived, he was no longer legally able to sign the documents that would have protected him. This reflects a psychological pattern called present bias, our tendency to delay uncomfortable decisions because today feels urgent-free, even when tomorrow carries real risk. Epictetus offers guidance here. First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. A wise senior man decides, while still clear-headed and capable, who he trusts to make decisions on his behalf, not out of fear, but out of foresight. This single document has protected more families from painful legal battles than almost any other piece of estate planning. Checklist. Item 3. Protect yourself from financial exploitation. Senior men are disproportionately targeted by scams, not because they are less intelligent, but because they are often more trusting, more polite, and less likely to hang up the phone on a stranger. The Federal Trade Commission consistently reports that financial fraud targeting older adults results in billions of dollars in losses annually, often through tactics that exploit trust, urgency, and isolation. Protecting against this isn't about becoming suspicious of everyone. It's about building simple safeguards, never making financial decisions during a single unplanned phone call, verifying requests independently before transferring funds, discussing major financial decisions with a trusted family member or advisor before acting. A wise senior man isn't the one who trusts no one. He's the one who has built enough structure that impulsive trust cannot cost him everything. Checklist. Item 4. Set boundaries with family requests. One of the quietest threats to a senior man's financial security isn't fraud from strangers. It's financial pressure from those he loves most. Consider the retired father repeatedly asked to co-sign loans for a struggling adult child, or the grandfather who feels guilty saying no to just this one request from a grandchild. Each request, taken individually, feels small, but cumulatively, they can quietly erode decades of careful planning. This connects to what psychologists call loss aversion in reverse. Many senior men fear the emotional loss of a strained relationship more than they fear the financial loss of an unwise decision. But here is a Stoic truth worth repeating. Saying no to protect your stability is not selfish, it's stewardship. A wise senior man learns that true love sometimes means disappointing someone in the short term to protect the family's long-term security. He isn't afraid of losing money. He refuses to become controlled by it. Checklist. Item 5. Keep financial information private, not secretive. There's an important distinction between privacy and secrecy. Secrecy isolates. Privacy protects. Many wealthy senior men make the mistake of either revealing every financial detail to extended family, creating expectation, comparison, or entitlement, or hiding everything entirely, leaving a spouse or children unprepared in the event of an emergency. The wisdom lies in the middle. A trusted few should know where documents are located, who to contact, and what the general plan entails, without every relative knowing the specific numbers. This reflects a healthy application of boundary psychology, protecting information not out of distrust, but out of respect for both privacy and preparedness. A quiet bank account is often stronger than a loud lifestyle, and a quiet financial life is often stronger than an oversharing one. Checklist. Item 6. Diversify beyond a single point of failure. Wealth protection isn't only about legal documents. It's also about structural wisdom in how assets are held. Too many senior men, even those who were disciplined investors, unintentionally create a single point of failure. All assets in one institution, all property in one name, all critical information known to only one person. If that single point fails, through fraud, institutional collapse, incapacity, or death, the entire structure becomes vulnerable. The Stoics understood the wisdom of not depending entirely on any one external circumstance. Seneca wrote, "He who binds himself to no single thing possesses all things." Applied practically, a wise senior man ensures that his financial security doesn't rest entirely on one account, one relationship, or one piece of paper. Checklist. Item 7. Communicate the plan while you're still here. Perhaps the most overlooked item on any wealth protection checklist isn't legal or financial at all. It's communication. A perfectly constructed estate plan, kept entirely secret, often creates as much confusion and conflict as having no plan at all. Family members who don't know a plan exists can't respect it, prepare for it, or honor its intentions. This doesn't mean disclosing every financial detail. It means ensuring the people who need to know, a spouse, an executor, an adult child, understand where documents are located, who to contact, and what your wishes are. The wisest senior men protect their peace before they protect their pride, and that means having uncomfortable conversations now, so their loved ones aren't left guessing later. Checklist item 8. Revisit the plan as life changes. Wealth protection isn't a single event. It's an ongoing practice. Marriages change. Grandchildren are born. Health conditions evolve. Laws change. Assets grow or shift. A plan built in your 50s may no longer reflect the reality of your 70s. The wise senior man treats his wealth protection checklist the way he treats his health. Not something addressed once and forgotten, but something revisited with the same discipline that built the wealth in the first place. Retirement is not the end of purpose. It is the reward for a life of discipline. And that discipline doesn't end just because the paycheck did. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe." Wealth protection, at its core, isn't about defending against every possible threat. It's about creating enough internal and external order that a man can face whatever comes, illness, family conflict, economic uncertainty, without losing his peace. Money is a tool, freedom is the goal. And true freedom isn't the absence of risk. It's the presence of preparation, clarity, and calm confidence that comes from knowing you've done what wisdom requires. Growing older is not about becoming more fearful of losing what you've built. It's about becoming wise enough to protect it, not through anxiety, but through quiet, deliberate structure. The senior men who sleep peacefully at night aren't the ones who never think about risk. They're the ones who thought about it early, prepared calmly, and then released their grip on the outcome. As Seneca once wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." Perhaps the truest form of wealth protection is this: preparing so thoughtfully today that your ending becomes someone else's peaceful beginning. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which item on this checklist have you already completed? And which one have you been putting off? Has your family ever faced confusion because a plan wasn't communicated clearly? What boundary have you had to set to protect your financial peace? What wealth protection lesson do you wish you had learned decades earlier? If this video gave you clarity or motivated you to finally update something you've been avoiding, consider liking it, subscribing, and sharing it with another senior man who values preparation over regret. Seek wisdom. Protect your peace. Leave a legacy.